All right, everyone. So it looks like there's a chance that Vince McMahon could be returning to wrestling. This is from Cultaholic.com. Vince McMahon will eventually be involved in pro wrestling again, several executives believe. And so we're going to go down here to the main part of this thing. Instead, several executives within combat sports and pro wrestling believe McMahon will ultimately find himself involved again in professional wrestling. Wrestlers also told Barrasso off the record that McMahon is still held in high regard and there's a great deal of support for the former WWE CEO. There were claims in 2025 that McMahon was interested in buying back WWE, but those claims were quickly debunked. So it's interesting because number one, what's said in this article, right, is the key part is it really matters about the wrestlers. Can he get wrestlers that want to work under him? And if the answer to that is yes, and we brought up in a previous video, it's kind of a there's a two sides thing to this because on one hand, it's pretty obvious that with the amount of talent in the wrestling business, you just saw WWE do all these layoffs and look around, right? I mean, those were really talented people, a lot of them that they laid off. I mean, it got to the point, or they didn't, renew their contracts, which I guess, basically the same thing, right? You look at the reaction. We saw one with our truth. I mean, this is like people are like, man, you're not letting go people who don't have any talent or something. You're letting go people that are good. And so would those people go and work? Certainly. And if what this is saying here that there's even a deeper thing where there's several superstars that would still go over and help out and be a part of it, then that makes this a possibility. But without that, there's no possibility of it. Now, the bigger question, in my opinion, is two things. Number one, would he want to do this? Because you got to look at it from the standpoint of Vince McMahon spent his whole entire adult life building WWE. So if we're going obviously off the standpoint that he's not going to be getting WWE back, would he want to compete with the thing that he built? He look, all these things in this video is completely not talking about any of the allegations or anything that's going on with the lawsuits and all of that. We're just looking at it from a perspective of if he got back into it, would he want to compete with the company that he started? And I don't know the answer to that. I could see both sides of it in terms of from his standpoint. On one hand, maybe he's like, I don't care, right? It's not the company I started because I don't own it anymore. So maybe that's the big thing. Or flip side, maybe he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get into other things and not get into the wrestling business. But we really just don't know at this point. Now, the other part of this, the flip side, is would he be able to buy WWE back? Now, obviously, it's I don't know the details on how that would be able to happen. I'm just going off of what I've heard from others. And there's two things here. So the first is he could use other buyers, right? So if TKO Group bought WWE, you could use other big investors to then buy out TKO. And obviously TKO would have to want it to happen, but the point is that he it's not like we're talking about okay, Vince himself has the money to just go and buy it, right? This is going to be the same type of deal that brought TKO in, just this time with Vince McMahon a part of it. That's one way it could be done. But the flip side of that, and I've this seems to make sense to me, although put in the comment section below if you have more information on this. But we've also seen he sold a lot of TKO stock, which, like I said, just kind of understanding how this would work, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense of you selling stock in a company that then you're then going to go ahead and buy. It feels like in that situation that that's not what you would do. That seems to be kind of a move you would do if you want to take money out of the company to do something else, right? That seems to be the case for me. Now, maybe, you'll have guys that are more financial experts that would basically say, well, that doesn't matter because you could just buy it back or something like that, right? Maybe it's really not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. But I just find this whole story interesting because it seems like everybody that's known Vince or anyone that talks about Vince, even people that don't like him, no one thinks this guy is just going to be done, right? Nobody thinks that he's out. Um, and I do think the other part of this is that it would be much different if he was 60 years old. If he was 60, my guess is that he might have never even have stepped down, right, in the first place. And I know he was basically forced out, but he, the My guess is he probably could have attempted to put up more of a fight than he did, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but that would just be my guess because it seemed like they were able to just. I know he got his way back in after the first round of allegations, but when the second round hit, he was just kind of out, right? That was kind of it. And he's not in any way part of this anymore. On the flip side, too, I wonder what he thinks of the current product because I think it's pretty good. I mean, I do. I think Triple H is doing a great job. I think it's right now it's one of the best times in WWE as it pertains to the happiness of the wrestlers and the success of the company both at the same time. I think wrestlers like being there. It just seems to be a lot of good vibes surrounding it. However, we're starting to see cracks in that with the R Truth thing. That was a big deal, but WWE took corrective measure, and it's going to happen. So I think this is a really interesting story to track. What is Vince going to do? You have Shane meeting with AEW, and obviously that didn't go over. People were speculating about that. Nothing has really come of that at this point. And you have Tony Khan, who's this isn't like some small guy with doesn't have a lot of money. There's a lot of money over there, so that's not maybe something either. But I just found this article interesting. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.